This week we begin the season of Lent with the celebration of Ash Wednesday. And when we go forward to receive ashes on our forehead, we're going to hear one of two calls or reminders. One of them is, remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. We begin Lent by being reminded that we are going to die someday. No matter who we are going to die. And we begin this 6-week boot camp preparing ourselves for living not for this life, but for the next. Remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. This call to humility shouldn't depress us, nor should it scare us, but it should set us back on track. I want to look today at the deadly sin of pride. That deadly sin that most theologians say is the deadliest sin. It's the sin of Adam and Eve in the garden. Ultimately, this sin forgets who we are, because pride is the excessive love of one's own excellence. We forget that we are creatures of a loving God, but that we are not gods ourselves, and that whatever excellence is in our lives is from God. I didn't merit it. I didn't really do anything to deserve it. I didn't really earn it. He gave it to me. And so when I dwell on my own excellence, I forget who I really am. So when we look at our lives, do I manifest the sin of pride? Am I vain? Am I stubborn in sticking with thoughts or ideas or plans that might not be the best? Look at how you take the suggestions and the criticisms of others. Am I so prideful that I think my way is the only way? Do I judge others, either in my thoughts or in my words with colleagues or family members? Sometimes we think the proud person is the haughty and the arrogant and the vain person. And that's true, but pride can manifest itself in other ways as well. The timid person that's afraid to act because they don't know what people will think of them, that's pride. The person who wallows in self-pity, that has its roots in pride. Or the scrupulous person that is scared, it latches onto their own sin and is scared to seek mercy because they think they can't be forgiven. That's pride. And so this week, let's work together to root out the sin of pride in our lives. I encourage you to dwell on the gifts that you've been given. Maybe even make a list at the end of the day, looking back at your day and think of all the things you have to be grateful for. And ultimately recognize that they're nothing you've done and they're nothing you've merited, but that they're gifts from God. Examine your own discussions and your thoughts with your colleagues or with your family. How do I treat them, and how do I treat their ideas? How do I treat the way they interact with me? Am I humble? It's not an easy virtue to work on, and we need God's help. It's prideful to think we can do this alone. So pray for help, pray for His guidance, and let's start this Lent off right. And that's a little theology in 3 minutes. Hey friends, exciting news for you. My very first book is available from Ave Maria Press. It's called Opening the Holy Door, and it's scriptural reflections on the virtue of hope. It's the perfect way to celebrate this Jubilee year, as together we are pilgrims of hope. You can find the link in the description below or go to joanwatson.faith to order your copy today.